So let's get cracking. Thank you for coming in to talk to us today. I'll leave it to you to give a bit of intro for yourself, and then we'll kind of roll from there.
Okay, my name's John Walsh. I live in Bedford, originally from Luton. So what I've come today is talk about my own struggles and the man cave. So I guess my intro, I struggled with anxiety and depression quite a bit, but never really understood what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think many of us do. I used to drink as well, but not, I would say on a social level, I never really had control, but I think it was a way of combating emotions when I used to go out with friends. And I stopped drinking about 2.5 years ago as well. So there was a lot of things going on. So I went to Man Cave probably about 2.5 years ago now. And now for the last 14 months running the group.
Wow. How, from what age did you kind of feel like those sort of, is it been, so for me, I kind of feel like I've probably had feelings like that way longer than I probably thought I did, and understanding it. So how has your kind of journey been?
I think probably like in my early 20s, no one really understood what it was, or it wasn't talked about.
Yeah.
So maybe it was, I would say, early 20s, but no one really knew what it was. It was just, I feel a bit low.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing associated with it.
Yeah.
I'll probably say only in my 30s I became aware. Certainly didn't know how to combat it, and obviously with drinking as well. Then when you would drink, a few days after, you didn't know what that feeling was. You thought it was just a hangover as such. But obviously heightens your emotions as well. Yeah,
definitely. I think I don't drink a lot, like you said. I'm not a big drinker, and thankfully, I think that I don't have the. I like beer, I like wine, but I don't like it enough to drink a lot of it. If you know what I mean, like every single day. But I kind of get what you're saying in terms of it's. I think society-wise and conversation-wise and what's going on, I think it makes you really. And social media, if it's used well, is a good tool to help you kind of challenge your own thoughts and understand yourself a little bit more. And I think when you're younger, it's just stress, or you're a bit low, or you're feeling a bit not really sure what you feel. So I think there'd be a lot of people that kind of are going through a journey similar to that, understanding that as they've kind of got a little bit older. Was there a trigger point for you that thought, okay, I need to go and speak to somebody, find a group, or what did that process look like?
I think it was a combination of things. So as I said, I'm originally from Luton, so I moved to Bedford, and I didn't really have many friends. I know it's only half an hour down the road, but didn't really have much of a friendship group. So it was definitely an aspect of loneliness. And I think when you get to a certain age, and maybe it's more so for men, they don't really go out and try and make friends or connect.
Yeah.
You kind of keep within your work circles, or, I have friends from school, but you don't necessarily see them. So there's a bit of that. I think as well, when I gave up alcohol as well, I was getting more into more positive things, like I've always done gym my whole life, but more consistent with it then. But I think I definitely had bouts of depression, anxiety, and I was like, I don't really understand this. I need to do more about it. I would go to doctors, and to be blunt, the generic thing is, do you want to go on medication? And my personal belief is that, again, it works for some people, but I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do other things to combat that. So I seen the advert pop up on Facebook, and just, took me a few weeks to go along, but then eventually I thought this is the thing for me.
Yeah, I think it's a difficult one. I'm in the same view of you, and everyone works in their own way, and I get that. But I like the idea of understanding myself, understanding what those feelings are, to try and combat those feelings, as opposed to kind of maybe numbing those down a little bit. But then there might be situations people need that for a amount of time to get to that point, and I totally get that as well. So the man cave itself. So you've been, say, you're going there for about 2.5 years.
Yep.
How long has it been running for? And talk to us about kind of what it's all about.
So the man cave started originally in Milton Keynes, and that is kind of where it all started. So about 3 years ago, and then the Bedford one, as I say, was about 2.5 years ago. But originally where that started, the chap that started it went through his own battles and decided, men need a space. So he started out in Milton Keynes. They were getting like 80 men to every meeting.
Wow.
Things like that. It really took off. Since then, we've expanded, as I say, into Bedford. There's one in Bletchley, Northampton, Towcester. and now just recently Newport Pagnell as well. So we have kind of branched out into different spaces, and we're looking at more locations again. So it's definitely shown that kind of space is needed.
I think it's such a, maybe people don't realise it until you kind of ask the question. I think generally speaking, men aren't very good at kind of starting the conversation, maybe waiting to be asked. I think it's a really difficult one. I've had my phases of kind of really bad mental battles and struggles. And I think that's something that I will probably carry with me for a long time, the rest of my life. It rears its head a lot often, and it can get really not good. But I think that I know even now from going through that, experiencing that, and knowing kind of ins and outs of it, kind of coming in and out of it, I still don't ask for help very much. I still don't ask I still don't. I think men generally aren't very good at showing any weakness and trying to. But I think it's good to have those spaces where it's encouraged to do that.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point you raised. I never used to ask for help. Like, I have a really good family. Like, my parents are fantastic, but they're always there. But you don't want to unload that onto them.
Yeah.
And I always kept it in until to a point, like, I was just really bad with it. And I never thought of going to a room and talk to a load of men about my problems. And again, it's the same when we get a lot of new people come in. They've unfortunately got to that breaking point, not before they've done certain things, or certain things have happened in their life before they've actually got to that point. So we're trying to get that the message in there sooner so they don't get to that point. But I think certainly, we don't talk.
Yeah, I don't know if it's showing weakness. I'm not very good at asking for help across a lot of things. And I think that might be potentially men should be the provider, should be the strong one. I think years gone by, sort of stereotypically, it's the man that has to carry the household, be the strong one, not show any emotion. And I think that society now is so different, but it's tough. Like there's no sugarcoating it. Whether you're male, female, it's tough. There's social media that's difficult. There's life pressures. There's financial pressures. And I think there's a difficult thing where people say it's okay to be okay. It's okay to not be okay, but you still don't want to admit you're not okay, because that might mean you're weak or you can't deal with things. And I don't think that it's just not necessarily the case. And I bet you'd be surprised with some of the people that are there. You would definitely not think they weren't okay.
Yeah, and I think, as you say, across the board, it is difficult for everyone. And we have had spaces for women as well. We did have that for about a year. Unfortunately, that didn't keep going, but that was the space we'd opened up as well. But I think you're right. Like an example, a few weeks ago, we had a space at Ampthill Rugby Club, and we went and spoke to people there, just milling about, here, we're a men's mental health group. Some of the reactions were very like, why are you coming over to me?
Yeah.
Some were like, it's amazing what you do. So you can kind of see that perception, as you say. Maybe some people don't want to talk about it, don't want to admit it, and you get some glaring looks about it. So I think it's much better than what it was, but I think some people just don't want to open up to that. And I think I was the same. Probably 3 years ago, if someone approached me, I'd be like, why are you approaching me with that? So yeah, there's certainly an element that I think is better, but still more work to be done for people just to show that weakness. Yeah,
showing that vulnerability, and I think there's a space of social media that's really, really good and really powerful, but I think there's also a big space, and I think I feel sorry for sort of the younger generations where like I've got the filters of my kind of experience in life to look at things and think, well, that's just not true, is it? But some kids, but the whole sort of the whole Andrew Tate thing of you've just got to be strong, you've got to be a man, you've got to be this, you've got to be that. If you're a young adult kind of going through that difficult time as it is of becoming an adult, 15, 16, you're starting, your testosterone's coming and your mood's all over the place and you're being told you've got to be this. Do you feel like that's kind of going against the message of opening up and talking?
I think it is to an aspect. There are certain elements that we encourage in a group, not necessarily to that degree, but take accountability for what you can control. So there is an aspect of that. But I think it's a good point that you touched on. We've had quite a few people approach us, like, can you support younger people? Because they feel there is a space, like certainly in the teenage kind of ages, that they are vulnerable and
Yeah.
there is no one really supporting them. And I think you say, like, with social media and the kind of things they're kind of seeing, they haven't got anything to sanitize whether that's good or not to take on board. So yeah, it's finding a medium between the two. But yeah, I think there's certain things that, how do we look after the younger people as well?
So what does the process look like? So say, for example, I went tomorrow to you guys. What would that? I think sometimes there might be a fear of the unknown of what that looks like. So, okay, am I just going to get in and question, or do I have to be really honest about everything that's going on in my life? You know what I mean? There's that little bit of understanding what it looks like.
So the meeting, so we do, like, again, when everyone turns up, we'll try and get some connection beforehand. Generally, if someone reaches out, we do get emails or social media. Myself and Rob will talk to them beforehand or try and give them a phone call or meet them because, again, it's daunting. It took me 3-4 weeks to go myself. Then what it is, we basically we have a meeting room, have a circle, get everyone to sit down. We then open the meeting with some kind of pretext, just some rules and kind of what we want from the meeting. And then you can just sit there and listen. We actively encourage, you don't have to talk because it's very daunting. I remember my first few weeks, I don't even know what I said. Just words came out. So yeah, people can come along, just listen. And I do find sometimes people just listening, it helps them. They're like, do you know what? That really helped here. There's other people with similar struggles to me.
Yeah.
Some talk. They may talk for 10 seconds. They may talk for 10 minutes. But what we try and encourage with the sharing piece is, why are you here? What's going on in your life? Or again, if they're continuing members, what's kind of gone on this week? Good, bad. We don't always it's not necessarily negatives. I really encourage you guys to share the wins. Like, look where you were 6 months ago and where you are now. Kind of show how you got there so newer people can see it is possible. So that's generally the format. We do that once a week. And then we hold a lot of social events as well. So we do things like we've done paddleboarding, meditation, random things like beekeeping. We got a lot of businesses reach out to us, wanting to help. We do meals. Funnily enough, got a Christmas meal tomorrow. So yeah, we encourage a lot of the social aspects too as well.
Beekeeping, but that was cool.
I didn't go along to that one, but the guys talked really, really highly of it. I got to take home honey as well.
I'd love to have bees. It's always one of those things where in my head, if I'm picturing like my dream house, having bees would be so cool. Until you get stung, I can imagine that's having a little one running around and getting stung all the time is probably not a good idea. But we'll cross that bridge if my dream happens. It's in my mind. It's kind of like it's got to be daunting, but also. I've learned a lot from having conversations with people about business or about life that we're all in this same battle, aren't we, of life. And yes, everyone's got their different demons and different experiences, and that's absolutely true. And I wouldn't want to take anyone's away from anybody, but there's a lot of things that people have shared or experienced or difficult relationships with people or difficult feelings that there's a lot of people that I've spoken to that say the same thing. So I just don't ever want to get out of bed a lot of the time because it's just hard to face the day or hard to get through what you do. And some people you think you've got everything that you could possibly need. And I think that's also a section of mental health or sort of difficulties and struggles that is the perception of people as opposed to kind of the reality of things.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we like to do is where people do have common struggles is get them to kind of connect. But again, everyone's battle is their own, everyone's story is their own. But it's a good point what you raised. Some of the things we encourage the group to do is, as much as we're their safe space to listen, we do encourage them to take action. So it could be things like, as you say, like you can't get out of bed, right? So what's the one hard thing you want to do today you don't want to do that will then set you up for a day? Like things like go take a cold shower in the morning for a minute. That's a hard thing to do. And when you've done that, you've done it.
Yeah.
Or go for a walk, go to the gym. It's different for everyone, or it could be make your bed for the day. So we do try and encourage, right, as much as it's good to sit in your feelings and not be okay, what can you do to get yourself out of that space? And we do try and push that as much as possible because we want guys we want to see them progress over time. So we definitely push a lot of that stuff. But again, the connection piece is really, really important. There might be, just jump back on the group itself. you look at the group of men we have, all different ages, all different backgrounds, as you say, all have different things, all different life experiences. And I think that's what's special about it as well. You might have an 18-year-old guy talk to guys in his 70s, and the connection they kind of share on maybe a shared struggle. It's amazing to see.
And it's also a connection that you wouldn't necessarily pick up on a day-to-day life. You're not going to, it just doesn't happen. You don't sit on the bus or sit waiting at the bar or whatever and just start talking about these things. And I think that cutting through to the honesty is, I think, really important, because there's a lot of, I think for a lot of life, I think I can only speak for my reference of being a man. I don't know what it's like to be a woman, so I can't comment, but is about turning up and pretending that everything's good. Everything is okay. Your work's good and life's good and you're working out and you're eating right, and all the expectations I feel that you have, you don't, you wouldn't say at the pub, say, I'm really struggling with being everything I need to be. So I think, like you say, it cuts through everything, cuts through all the noise and all the nonsense, just to be like, hey, let's be real. And I bet there's some really good relationships that have been built from that vulnerability. Yeah,
and I think, speaking from my own experience, I've made a lot of good friends. As I say, like within Bedford now, I have a lot of good friends. Rob, who co-leads with me and him talk on a daily basis. I'm sure his wife is sick of hearing my voice notes. But we kind of talk about all these things, and again, you wouldn't necessarily come across, I wouldn't necessarily have found all these people if I didn't go along to something like that. As much as you may want to join groups now, I don't feel like people really talk. And as you say, even talk about those struggles. Like, I met my friends at the weekend. I don't think any of them would openly say, I'm struggling with this, struggling with that. They were talking about the group and saying, it's really good what you do, but they wouldn't ever touch more upon that, I believe. Yeah. Maybe in an individual setting, but not in that kind of open pub setting, I would say.
Yeah. I think, like you said at the start, when you get past a certain age, it's it's not necessarily difficult to make friends as an older, sort of when you're in late 20s, early 30s, but you're not in those settings a lot, are you? Like at school, you're surrounded by people all the time, and you get on with people, you don't get on with people, then at work and things like that. But if you're self-employed, if you kind of work at home, it is really difficult to keep those relationships and get new relationships. And I think, to your point as well, I mean, it'd be interesting to sort of understand, you said, like, you don't want people to come at a stage of kind of rock bottom when it's kind of got too bad. But there's probably a space where I would say that everyone's kind of got their struggles, right? So would you suggest it's sort of open to everyone to have the conversation?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've had people come along that have just been lonely and want friends. And we're like, yeah, by all means, definitely. It's not just as much, you can see it as an aspect of mental health in one sense. Because I had a gentleman say to me, I don't have any mental health issues, that's the way he termed it, but I need connection. I was like, yeah, by all means, that's exactly what we want. And again, to touch on your point, and again, sorry to go the other spectrum of it, but some of the gentlemen that have come along have been referred to us by the NHS, and they have tried attempts. So it's really trying to get way ahead of that. Even if, as you said earlier, if you're feeling a little bit low, don't really know, they haven't got anyone to talk to, if they just see that and go, do you know what, I might just go along just to have a conversation. They might not know what's going on, but at least they let it out. Because I've seen every single person, including myself, when they just talk and let it out, it's like you feel lighter. And we've always said to people, when you come to your first meeting, please be aware, like, you feel really, really high after the meeting. The next day you might have a bit of a low because you just released it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I would kind of say, as soon as people talk, they don't realise they need to, and when they do, they feel amazing.
And it's also talking, once you start kind of unravelling that kind of really maybe kind of tense knot that's been building up, as soon as you start ravelling it, you probably don't maybe realise how big it is or how much more you can go with it. Because I've kind of experienced that. The more I kind of dig, I think it's also a part of, like, the more you dig, the more you think, okay, do I keep digging or do I just kind of stop here and kind of don't go any further? Because it like you say, it's great to talk and get it out, but then you sit there the next day thinking, that's really, I can't remember, I didn't ever thought about that, or someone said that and I can really resonate with that. Then you can maybe feel a little bit, like I say, a little bit worse, because you also feel that. But then it's a long-term process, and it's not one meeting and then that's the end.
No, and I think even from my own experience, I've learned a lot about myself over the last 2 years. done a lot of reading on, you know, the way I have my own emotions, whether in its relationships, if it's family, people, whatever it may be, and kind of my styles and how that is, and to kind of learn more about that. But as you say, because at the beginning, you know, I have this, but I didn't really understand it. So it was definitely an element of self-growth and learning more and more about it. And I've seen it within the group. Like someone will say, I'm lonely, because they're trying to, for example, seek happiness in others rather than be happy with themselves. And when people kind of have that light bulb moment, they're like, oh, yeah, I am happy with myself. I don't need to seek that in someone else. So there's definitely, I've seen it throughout the group. There's one meeting, you know, 6 months, 12 months, it continues on. And some guys come maybe 3 or 4 meetings and don't come back. And that's okay. They've done what they needed, seen what they needed, and they feel better for it. There's been a core of us that have probably been going the same amount of time, about 2.5 years. So it's all dependent on where people are on their journey and whether they feel they need to change or just to release. But we do have a WhatsApp group. So anyone who comes along, we have the WhatsApp group. Some want to come meetings, so they might put in, oh, I'm feeling like this, or I've got this problem. So we talk through that as well, so to kind of keep that connection going.
Yeah. It's everyone's journey is different, and some people are ready to have that conversation, some people aren't. And I think it's trying to balance that is really difficult, isn't it? Because there's also an aspect of things that is out of your control. Like, for example, there's a lot of work pressures that a lot of people have. Yeah. And unfortunately you have to work to earn money. So it's kind of like trying to there's lots of things, right? There's the fact that you can't control that, then things get everything's expensive, whether it's you're going to buy a loaf of bread or whatever. So there's that external pressure that you have to kind of understand, deal with, and talk about. But it might then exacerbate other things that you've got. And again, it's everyone's in that boat, right? You can't control these things, but you can talk about someone that can relate to those things, and you're probably not the best or the worst in the room at that feeling as well, right?
Yeah, and I think it's a valid point what you just said. There's a lot of things going on in everyone's life, whether it's family, work, cost of living, all of those things. And I've even done it myself. Like, I take on so many things, and then you get to that point, like, I can't do all this. So we break it down. It's like, right, what do you need to do? What don't you need to do? Like, I've done it in the past. I've been doing loads of like exercise, but like too much, and then trying to do work. Right, I need to drop that, because as you say, you have to work. So therefore I need to drop that. I need to do this. So I think it's just controlling that aspect of what you can, and unfortunately there's other things you can't do anything about, as you said.
So just going back, you mentioned that one of the things you do is meditation. How do you find meditation? What do you take away from it personally?
So I can't speak massively from experience. I've done 2 sessions. I have tried to do it myself. I struggle. I struggle to do it at home by myself. We've had some fantastic individuals that come along, we'll do the classes for you. And I found it really, really good. I did the guided meditation in a group setting. Yeah, I can't even explain it. It was a really surreal experience. I did feel a range of emotions, but it was good. I'd actively encourage it. I'd love to be able to get into a space where I can do it myself. But again, like I said, 3 years ago, I never would imagine doing something like that. But a lot of the guys do it every morning. They'll do like 10, 15 minutes every morning. They find it helps them significantly. So
I'd love to be able to do it, but I just feel like when I try and do it, my brain's just going even faster, even quicker. And I think this is doing the opposite of what I'm trying to make it do. I don't know if it's I'm not zoning out or not focusing enough or I'm too impatient, but I'm just like, this is not making me feel good at all.
That's what my problem has been at home, trying to do that, but I need to get into that. But it's not just meditation. We do, some of the guys have done breath work as well. Again, all of these things I'd never even been aware of, and I think certainly men are not aware of. A lot of men aren't. So there's been breath work. We've even done reformer Pilates a few weeks ago as well. So there's all these different things we're trying to get men to try as well.
I tried breath work at GWD, the gym up the road, and it was nuts. It kind of really, it was like hallucinogenic type out of body experience, and I found it so powerful that the human brain is a tool that if it works for you, it works for you, and if it's going against you, it's going against you, and it's really hard to get out of that. I talk about it in like a business sense all the time. To step back and look at your business is really hard to do, and it's the same for yourself. You live in it. You're always in the moment, always in the feeling, always in And it's so hard to step back. And I found doing that was such a good way of kind of being separate. Like what I went in with this thought of, I'm obviously just going to feel this, this, and this. This is what, because I kind of spoke to people before we did it, and they were like, yeah, you're going to start feeling things that you truly feel, or thoughts going to come in that, and I was like, I know what I'm going to think about. It's going to be this, this, and this. And it was nothing close. And it really made me feel like that, as much as it feels like, this is kind of my long waffled thought of it, that as much as you feel like you're not in control of your thoughts and what's going on, you actually are by doing the right things and controlling it in the right way. I'm a very good example of just letting things spin and spin and spin and spin and spin in my head. So we've already started here, we're already here, but actually if I took a second, we might have only been there.
Yeah, and I think whether it's the breath work or, as you say, like controlling your own thoughts, one of the things we try and encourage again is like trying to have that positive mindset. You know, there's several podcasts or books we recommended to the guys to have a read. You know, not all of it, as you say, it's not for everyone. I've had people go along to the breath work. It was like, great, but it's definitely not for me going forward. They might say, I'm happy to go for a walk or whatever. It's tailoring it for everyone. It's not one size fits all at all. As I say, even for me, the meditation guided brilliantly at home, can't do it myself. But I think it's definitely, you can control it, and I never realised you can control your own kind of thoughts. Not all the time, because there's some days you're like, do you know what, it's going to be a bad day, I accept that. But then the next day, how do you pull yourself back out of that and try and make it a more positive spin on it?
Yeah, totally. I think, accepting that not every day is going to be great is probably a good starting point, because you put yourself under so much pressure to be. I also feel like I put myself on so much pressure to be happy, when happy isn't a constantly achievable emotion.
No.
Like contentment or being okay is also fine. Sometimes you're going to be bad, sometimes you're going to be good, but happy is just, that's the thing that if you're always hunting for, and I think that's it's in anything, isn't it? I just want to be happy. I just want to be happy. But actually, what does that mean? Because that's often the moments. Do you know what I mean? And chasing that moment is a slippery slope, isn't it?
And I think if you're trying to constantly think, I need to be happy, you're then beating yourself up more. You're not accepting, I will have a bad day or a bad week or whatever it may be. So we randomly come up with this scale in the group, like what you're feeling, like 1 to 10, and you get some of the guys like, I'm a 6, I'm happy with that. And then you get some saying, I'm like an 8 or a 9, I'm happy. So it's where you're happy sitting on that scale. You know, you might go, do you know what, previously I was like a 2 or 3 really low, but I'm happy, I'm at a 6, I'm all right with that. But I think the perception we have is that being happy isn't necessarily correct either. It's, as you say, like finding a middle ground and content. And I've seen it in the group. Some of the guys, you know, will go through weeks and weeks, they're fantastic. One life event will completely put them back down to like a 2 or 3. And that's okay. They're okay to sit in those feelings, they're allowed to feel it, and then you'll gradually get back to that.
I think not beating yourself up because you're feeling a 2 is a big part of it as well.
Exactly,
because you might have put all this a lot of work into talking and working on yourself and controlling your emotions, then things out of your control. And sometimes it's a big life moment, or sometimes it's just waking up. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes those days are just like, I am not feeling this, and it might take a day to get out of it or a week to get out of it. But the beating up yourself in that spiral is a really tough one. Talk me through your journey of, so you've been there 2.5 years, but now you're sort of in the last 14 months kind of taken on more responsibility of kind of running that. So what did that look like, and why did you feel like it was the right thing for you to do?
So I think within the year or so I was there, as I was saying to you, I learned a lot. So whether it was like, so as you say, like even if I was like a 2 or a 3 in the past, I would sit in that 2 or 3 for time and time and time, not knowing to do anything about it. So I learned things like to pull myself back out, cold water therapy, whether it's podcasts, books, making sure I exercise, even if it's, do you know what, it doesn't have to be a marathon. Go out for a walk, just be outside, just, or some days just sit there and accept your feelings, not trying to like put them at the back of your head. Just sit there and just accept it. So I learned a lot, and it definitely, don't get me wrong, I have bad days, I have bad weeks, but I know how to get out of them, and I think that was the key thing. So I think it got to the point where me and Rob were very similar on our journeys, and it was we transitioned at the same time into committee, and then the gentlemen that were running it stepped away for other life reasons, so we then took it on. At first it was hard because we were definitely experiencing a lull within our numbers, but what we then did, it kind of gave me a sense of purpose, I guess, that I really want this to work. Really, really want this to work. So we actively pushed on social media. We tried to get out to as many spaces as we could, talk to loads of local businesses. And to be honest, like where we are now compared to a year ago is amazing. I know we're in so many like different spaces with businesses. The amount of emails I get, oh, you know, can you come along to this event? Or, you know, I've heard about you, can I come to this? And I think a lot of that has been down to the kind of Bedford community as well. So like the Cry Hub have definitely helped us a lot. They've supported, they've signposted me different people. See, a little while back doing the podcast with Nat, that has significantly opened so many doors and so many people have come forward because of that. We did some with Simply Bedford as well. So there's been all these people that have helped us, whether it's online or in person, that have helped grow that. And it's definitely, as much as I'm like, is that really me? I feel like me and Robert both said we feel so grateful and are now like, I'm so glad I stuck at it.
Yeah.
And when I hear the feedback I get from the guys now, like, you put all this time in, because we have full-time jobs. Like, we volunteer to do this, but we want to do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's say where I am now. I definitely feel like it's a sense of purpose that I have, that I want to keep driving this on. I want to help men as much as possible, get it into those spaces everywhere we can. And I think now the Man Cave is kind of firmly embedded within Bedford, because when Man Cave first started, it was like Milton Keynes, and obviously that was brilliant. They did some fantastic work to get embedded, and we're all doing that in the individual locations. But I and Rob are personally happy that we've got it within Bedford now.
What's the sort of numbers? You said it was 80?
So that was at Milton Keynes.
Okay.
So within Bedford, we've kind of, so you get lulls, and certain times of the year you'll get that as well. When I first joined, we were around 15 to 20. And then we did go for a lull last year where we were only getting a handful of people. And it was in the nicest way, it was draining me, because I was like, we're showing up, you know, we're not really getting anyone. Do we continue with this or do we stop? And we just go, you know, do one more week, done one more week. And we kept pushing it. And now we probably get on average between 15 to 20 again.
Wow.
And it's different faces. Like, there could be some people don't come 3 or 4 weeks. There could be some come 4 weeks on the trot, get new people. Maybe one person will turn up once, not come back again, but they use the WhatsApp group. So it's very different settings all the time. We held the 2-year celebration a little while back, and that was amazing. We had like 25 to 30 people there.
Nice.
So it was really good.
It's a bit of a catch-22, isn't it? Because obviously you want lots of people to come, but you don't want lots of people to come. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You kind of, you want it to be a place where not a lot of people need to be able to need to want to come, but you also want there to be a space where lots of people can come and talk more and share more, and it's kind of a bit of a weird one where you're trying to promote more people, to want as many people to come as possible, but that means more people with things to talk about. But I would bet that there's lots and lots and lots of more people that could use a space like that maybe just need a nudge, or need to know that it's there, or need to know that it's a safe place to talk. Because, I mean, I know quite a few people that could probably benefit with that type of conversation.
So I think on that, there's 2 points. So something I used to actively would get me down is like, why are they not coming back? You know, and I'd be texting people, and then you wouldn't hear back from them. You're like, do you know what? Maybe they've had their journey. That's okay. The other thing on that is that I think a lot of the guys think they should only come when they feel bad.
Yeah.
So we've spun that. Like, no, come along, share your wins. You know, look where you were 6 months ago to now. And to be fair, we get a lot of the guys come along and like, do you know what? I'm an 8 or a 9. I'm here. We're like, they feel that sense of community, and they want to kind of share those wins with the guys and like sit in that positivity. So that's definitely been a mindset change around that. And I think to your other point about people coming along, something I've really struggled with, and we've seen a lot of women message us saying, I would like my husband, I would like my brother, my son, all those people to come along, but they're always doing it on their behalf. And a lot of the engagement I have is with women actively trying to look for the men in their lives to come along. It's never the men coming forward to me, very, very rarely. And I've had a few like, oh, would you mind talking to this? But yeah, of course, no problem. But I've definitely seen a lot more. It's the women trying to push the men in their lives to do it. The men won't do it themselves. And I've seen that a lot.
It's great that there's the shift in kind of the societal view that men need to go and talk, and it's important. I've done therapy, done quite a therapy a lot of times, but it wasn't me that organised it and reached out, because it's just a case of I'm dealing with it. It's okay. It's all under control. I've got it sorted. And that's a similar example I wouldn't have admitted. And the other side of it as well, though, is that I'm very much do I feel like I need to go to do that? Yes. I'll do it when I'm ready to do that. And that's the difficult part. I probably am ready to do it 2, 3, 4 months after when I probably should have been doing it. And that's the hard part, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't think there's ever a right time. I think it was something I seen earlier today. Someone was saying, "Oh, I'm going to wait till the new year." But why are you going to wait till the new year to do those things? Like, it's just something we've kind of been programmed. Like, oh yeah, I'll start it all again. Do it today. Why not? But I think, yeah, you're right. Society has changed, and I think it's a really strong piece that me and Rob have spoken about, is that women are our biggest supporters, and it like they push so much to get. And even when I share things on social media, with women sharing it, pushing it on, getting it through, I don't get the same collaboration men, because it could back into the point, as you say, showing a weakness or something along those lines.
Yeah, kind of go on Instagram and say, oh, he's like that. Is he struggling with mental health? And I think that the difficult part of that is, if I saw a friend like that, I might message him and say, mate, how you doing? You all right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't say, oh, I saw you like that. Are you okay? Like, it could be just a conversation starter. Just say, do you fancy a pint this weekend?
Yep.
And I think that's the change, that it needs to be kind of taking that fear away from saying, actually, I would like to have that conversation. Or even if it is, I shared your thing on social media, I'm now talking to a friend. I might not come to the man cave for a while, but I'm actually having a conversation with somebody else. And I think not doing that doesn't start that conversation.
And I think that's a really good point in itself, that a few people I've spoken to haven't come to the man cave at all. And again, if they've seen something, or, you know, I've had a few people say, I listened to your podcast, you know what, that really helped. And, you know, I've spoken to this person, I've spoken to that. If they don't come to the man cave and they do it by other means, we're happy. Like, I'm happy if that's helping. And I've heard that quite a lot. They're like, you know what, I've sent this on to this individual, I've sent it on. It's actually helped them, and it's made them realise. So even if they don't come to the cave, just by getting the word out there, if it helps them have those difficult conversations, then great.
And it is difficult. It's a difficult conversation to let somebody into your head that maybe sometimes a place you don't want to be in your own head, or being vulnerable, being honest about things that are difficult. It is difficult. And also, sometimes it's, how do you even approach that conversation? Do you know what I mean? You normally go into the pub and you're talking about, I don't know, football or the rugby or whatever, or how work is, and you also don't want to come in and you be, oh yeah, I'm just not feeling good, because you feel like no one really wants to hear that. So it's difficult sometimes to, and maybe sort of a like of an Instagram or a share of something might be a spark to a conversation that leads somewhere else. You touched on a minute ago about the cold water therapy. How do you find that?
I do. Yeah. So I've done like ice pot baths as well. We've done that. I never thought you could experience a feeling like that. The dopamine rush afterwards is crazy. Yeah, when I first did like an ice pod, and again, really cold time of year, I was like buzzing for the whole day.
Really?
And I do find, like, if I don't do my cold shower in the morning, I do find that I'm not fully myself either. I feel like that's something that just kickstarts my day. And a lot of the guys alternate between whether it's cold shower or ice baths, that kind of thing, and they find it helps as well.
So in the morning, you literally stand in a cold shower?
Yep.
I'd like the idea of it.
A lot of people say that, yeah.
But every kind of I spoke to someone about it the other day, actually, last week. He was like, yeah, every morning, 2 minutes in the shower. And since then, every time I'm in the shower, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And then I don't.
But you know what it is? It's just
I know, it's that simple. But it's always about, I listen to a lot of podcasts and all these successful people talking about just doing hard things.
That's exactly what I was talking about earlier, is that's what we encourage. Like, you know, if you go and have a cold shower first thing, even though you've been feeling like a 2 or 3, you've done a hard thing that will help you feel better. I mean, even if it gets you up to a 4. And we actively encourage that, you know, even if it's just a case you say, get out of bed, go for a walk. It's doing those hard things. And I actively believe that. If you just sit there being comfortable, you're not going to improve.
Yeah, I think we do, generally speaking, people have a more comfortable life than we did 50, 60, 70, 100 years ago, even in the UK, right?
Yeah.
You've probably got a comfortable bed, you've probably warm, you've probably got a hot shower, you've probably got clean clothes to put on. That's all very comfortable. And I think that it's easy to feel comfortable in, and it's also easy, and I'm not the one that's kind of pointing the finger, I definitely do this. It's easy when you're comfortable to sit in those feelings, to not then do that thing.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows you have to do the thing, right? Whether that's a cold bath, whether that's to go for a walk or a run or go on the treadmill or go to the gym. Everyone knows what that thing is, but a lot of people know what that thing is. The hard thing is doing that thing.
Yeah.
But it's that, doing something difficult to know what the outcome's going to be and believing in that. And that hard thing of having a cold shower is hard for a couple of weeks or a month. Then it becomes the normal. Then what's the next hard thing that you can help push you forward, right?
Yeah, and I think it's choosing what is hard for you.
Yeah.
Everyone's hard is completely different. As I say, I keep talking about exercise and things, but it's not necessarily that. It could be, I'm going to read 10 pages of a book or, as I say, get out of bed, whatever it may be. And I'm just as bad sometimes. I'll be like, do you know what, I really don't want to do those things, as you say. But it's making some of it become a routine. So, one of the guys who when I first started Man Cave said, like, it's like brushing your teeth. Why don't you choose something that then becomes part of your routine as part of that? And it kind of flipped my mindset a little bit. Like, if I can't go gym, go for a walk or, read 10 pages of a book. You don't have to read a whole book. Why don't you just set 10 pages you'll do? And when would you feel worse for reading it? No. Or when you go to the gym, do you ever feel worse for going gym? No. But it's flipping that mindset because it is hard when you're sitting in that space. Like, how do you just actually go do it?
Yeah. I think as well that I read this. I can't remember where I read it or where it came from, but it was about Djokovic, tennis player. About someone's in an interview and he said, "I bet it must be easy," or I can't remember what the terminology was to say. You just train every day, you get up and you go and you love doing it. And he was like, no. There's days, and even like Stephen Goggins, who runs like stupid. I just sit there and stare at my trainers for half an hour, saying, I don't want to do this. I'm not going to do this. My body doesn't want to do this. I'm tired. I don't want to do it. But the difference is just putting them on. And whether he's probably going to go run an ultra marathon or something. But even if that meant a walk around the block or walk the dog or whatever, it's knowing that fight that you're having in your head, that isn't necessary just because you're having a bad day or because you're not strong, whatever. Even the strongest minds that achieve incredible things for long periods of time still have that battle.
Yep.
So kind of it's that it goes into that comparison of yourself of I couldn't even do a run. I couldn't even go and do that. And then that quite easily can come a negative spiral, can't it?
Yeah. And I mean, it's, as you said, you have to start somewhere with it, whatever it may be. They might say, oh, do you know what? I can only walk. And then next thing they're doing marathons in like 6 months' time. But it's definitely a mindset thing. And again, it's not for everyone. Some people are just happy to sit in that space and that's fine. But we do, as I say, we actively encourage just, even if it's 1% or, 1 day a week, do something for you or something to push yourself on that a little bit more. Yeah.
I think, as you've sort of said before about going through the journey of understanding how you get out of those spaces, I think the human brain is a fascinating one, and you do think that I'm such a self-sabotager, right? So I can be in a good space and then I'll just start drinking a bit more, eating crap, not going to the gym. Because I'm feeling good, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling good, right? So I can then kind of not let myself go, but I can kind of not focus on it. And I think that then it's like, okay, well, I'm not feeling good again.
Yeah.
So it's those spirals and those cycles of if so much of your body and your brain and how you think and how you feel, yes, undoubtedly there's external factors that you can't control, whether that be family or friends or work or whatever situations, but there's so much that you can control. And I think I used to get a bit daunted by the fact of those things because they can stack up, like exercise, eating right, not drinking too much alcohol, drinking lots of water, all those things, they feel overwhelming, but actually they're quite kind of, you've got lots of things.
Stabilise yourself.
Yeah. If you only had the one thing, you didn't do that one thing, it could be like, well, I haven't eaten great today, but I've drunk lots of water, I've exercised, and I had a burger, but all those other things are okay.
And I think I've done the same. Like, I'll go, do you know what, it's all those things, isn't it? It's the diet, it's all of that. And then, do you know what, I haven't gone gym, so do you know what, I'm going to get a takeaway. Then I'll do that. And then it kind of spirals, as you say, you spiral, and then you get, like 2-3 days, like, oh, I feel rubbish. Like, I don't feel good at all.
Yeah.
But you're right, if you can control even one of those 3 things, I'll make sure I drink plenty of water. It helps you. But I think when you drop one, you drop it all. And I think we all do that, which like, oh, there's no point. Yeah. But it's trying to flip that. Like, even if if I'm not going to go gym for a week, right, I'll make sure my diet is okay. And that's one thing that will keep me kind of stabilised that I can control.
Yeah. I think it's it becomes quite overwhelming really quickly when you kind of, you don't have to control everything. I think as well, we touched on the sort of social media side of it and things, that you have to be all the things. You have to be fit and healthy and strong and this and that and the other. But actually, running at okay, running at a 6 or a 7, but being a bit healthy and walking a bit more. And that's, I just think that that okay level isn't millionaire Ferrari. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's kind of where I feel there's a competition and comparison a lot, which doesn't help a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it's a really, really good point that social media, unfortunately, I think is the biggest issue of mental health, because people compare themselves constantly to influencers, or they see this, they see that, they see all of these big things, but it could be, you know, what they want to be content is just to have their family and be living comfortably. But unfortunately, what you see on social media is, you know, you might, as you say, flying all around the world or doing this and doing that. And I think people do compare themselves. As much as they say they don't, they do.
Yeah. And it's so hard to stay off social media, because I was having a chat with someone the other day about their son's just kind of turned 15, 16, that sort of age, and wants an iPhone and wants to go on social media. No. Kind of, it's so difficult to not alienate yourself. Like, I feel like for my work, I have to be on it, and I have to keep an eye on what's going on and stuff like that. But finding the there is spaces of social media that are really positive, but like we said at the start, trying to understand where that fits in with a brain that's still developing is really tough. Yeah. And I feel like when I was younger, I was climbing trees and swimming in the river and playing football, and I couldn't care. I mean, there was like MySpace but you had to sit down at your computer, wait for your mum to be off the phone so you could wait for the dial-up to work and do it. If you didn't go on it for a week, it made no difference to your life. And that, it's an addiction, isn't it? Being on your phone, being on social media at any age, your phone buzzes, you look at it.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely, unfortunately, it's a generational thing. As you say, when I was younger, similar thing, you'd go out all day long playing football, whatever it may be. You may go on the computer and you're like, oh, if I don't mind. Yeah. But I think the access is so easy now for younger generations. I mean, I have my nephew, for example, you know, he's 3.5 and he wants to go on the phone. So even at that age, you're seeing those kind of things. And again, for my sister and that, they have to see what they're watching and all that thing. So it's an added pressure to that. Yeah, it's a difficult one with the social media aspect as well. And I think with social media as well, you see a lot of people now just going back. I've seen it reverting back to old phones, like the old Nokias and stuff. So they're not dealing with all of that. I struggle with it as well, as you say. Like, as much as I want to promote stuff for the man cave and that, some days I'm like, I'm really overwhelmed. I don't want to go on my phone, but you feel you have to. And I think as well, it's very difficult as well with the algorithms and all of the social media. And this is a really key thing we push to all the guys. If you keep liking stuff that is bad for you, keep doing it, will keep coming back up. So try and like find some positive stuff. I always put stuff in the group, you know, here's something here to try and change that algorithm, because I find that it's a really, really bad spiral you can get into.
Yeah. It's also, it seems to know you better than you know yourself. It's unbelievably clever, and you're scrolling through and you're like, it's validating everything. It validates every feeling that you have. And that's great if what you're doing is positive and good affirmations of life and celebrating all the things that you can do. If it's not, you could sit there for hours and hours and hours, and it'll make you feel bad about yourself, or compare yourself, or just validate that you're not good enough, or whatever it may be. And I think that it's a unrealistic expectation for people to sort of step away from it or not use it. I can't use it. You say you can't use it. Most people will have to have it. And my view on it is just don't do it. But most people can't, right? They don't have that kind of luxury, as it were. Yeah. But it's nuts how. This is not. You talk about something, 5 minutes later, you've got an ad on your phone. That's a different subject, but that is just nuts in itself. But yeah, I think also just being, I'm a parent. I've got a 2-year-old, and the stress levels and the expectation that it brings, I think I didn't understand it until I had a child, and the comparison or the expectation, the who you need to be, and the sort of everything that comes with that, as well as the expectation of work demands, whether you've got your own business or your 9-to-5 job, whatever it may be, I feel like it's only stepping up. I had a conversation with a guy the other day and he's in his 60s and he's like, you now have got more stress having 2 parents, full-time job, like the price of childcare and all this sort of stuff, than when I had a kid when I was your age. And all it does is not feed positive mental health conversations in your own head. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different stresses. I think I've seen the same, as you say, like people do struggle primarily with, you know, worrying about their children. I see it like in some of the meetings, they'll say, you know, I've really struggled with this today, or, you know, for example, I've seen my daughter's on her phone and this has happened or that's happened, and then they've had a conversation with other parents. So, I mean, I'm not a parent myself, but I see it a lot across, and all the stresses that kind of build into that. And as you say, you've got work on top, and then whatever's going on in this social media persona of yourself, it's a lot. It is a lot.
It's spinning a lot of plates a lot of the time, isn't it? So what's the plan for the Man Cave? What does, if you were to sort of paint a picture of the next 12 months, what would it look like?
I think, as I said earlier, keep embedding it within the Bedford community. Just like, you know, if there are men or, you know, people within men's lives that think, you know, I need somewhere for them to go, they know the Man Cave is there. And again, I think on a lot of the stuff we do, even events we go to, we know people don't necessarily come over, but once they've seen the name, that's good. So it's getting it out and about there, doing a lot more events. So we've done a few like wellbeing events, stuff like that. As I say, we had an engagement with Ampthill Rugby 2 weeks ago, which was fantastic. We had a stand there. So doing more stuff like that, just getting out and about in spaces where traditionally men don't want to talk about that stuff. More podcasts. So there's a few other podcasts and stuff like that, just to kind of get the message out there. And new locations as well. So not necessarily like Bedford itself, but looking at, you know, from Bedford, where can we leverage into other places as well? Yeah.
Is there I know we sort of touched it before, it's kind of a difficult one, but is there a member number that you kind of want to get to? Or is it more just a case of just a lot of people knowing who you are? Because it's difficult to chase like followers on Instagram or whatever, because it's not that type of... You're not chasing a number, are you? You're chasing awareness and support.
I think I was definitely in that mindset space. Probably about a year ago, I was like, no, we need 10 members, you know, we need that. I'm like, actually, no, we don't. Because it could be we only get, again, we could get 3 or 4 turn up, but, you know, they don't know about it's a new person. They might speak to someone, blah, blah, blah. I think I'm not really chasing the numbers, and there's something we have said within the Man Cave generally across our meeting spaces, you know, try and get people to come along, but if they don't, that's not something to say it's not a success, because we're getting awareness, you know, just keep pushing where we can. So I've definitely got out of that mindset, because at first, as you say, it's unfortunately comparing it to social media, it's like, no, we must have this many people at the meeting.
I mean, if you've got 3 people come in and that's 3 people you're helping and 3 people that are talking and feeling safe, then that's 3 more people than if you weren't there. And yes, it'd be great if you had more, because there's more to share, right? But it's a difficult one to understand kind of what success looks like for that, because it's difficult to measure, isn't it?
I think another one is that something we've noticed this year, we're getting a lot more NHS referrals, which is interesting in itself. So we do get a lot of like social prescribers and doctors saying, you know, there's this men's group here, go along to this, which I think, as I say, it's interesting that they're coming to us, but that the NHS referring that way, but it's also good, I guess, that they're putting it out in space. So I guess I measure that as some success, because the fact that, you know, doctors, social prescribers can see and have heard the benefits of us, I see that as something good.
Yeah.
I think it's continuing to kind of grow the social media aspect as well, try and get out there as much as we can, to keep doing the collaborations. I say we've got like monthly collaborations set up with a few businesses, a few practitioners, things like that. So it's keep doing stuff like that as well.
I think the NHS and doctor referral one is a really interesting one, because no kind of shade on any doctors, the hours they work and what they need to do and everything is really tough, but it is a difficult one when you go and speak to somebody and it's kind of, well, what do you want me to do? Do you want to go medication, or do you want to... There's no answer, and also trying to... I found things like trying to get therapy and trying to get that support is really difficult in the UK. It's really hard to try and find therapy that's not really expensive, that can be consistent for you. That, I mean, during lockdown, I kind of started going to therapy, and it was something like £60 a session once a week. I use that for a while, and that becomes expensive. I think I was, I thankfully I've got some insurance that helped with it, but I did it for sort of 3 or 4 months, once a week, and then I had to send an invoice to my insurance. It's scary how much you end up spending on something that not should be like it's hard to find that if you're not in a luxury position that you can go and sort of pay to go and do it. Do you know what I mean?
It's a really good point, because I've had a few people saying, you know, I need to go to therapy, or I need to do this, but it's because of the cost. They are really, really struggling with it. And as you say, through the NHS, and again, it's no disrespect to the NHS, because of the waiting list and things like that, they are really struggling with it. But I think why I think it's interesting the NHS referring to us, and it could be in one aspect, we're not trained in any way. You know, we're just bringing our life experiences, what we've seen. But if we feel people do need help, we signpost them. We have relevant, you know, people we can signpost them to wherever it needed. But I think even just for that, some people might think they need therapy, but actually by coming to the man cave, just talking, letting stuff out, maybe that's an aspect of it that helps them. But it's definitely a massive struggle. So I had someone recently saying, I don't have the money, but I'm going to go to therapy. And as you say, like it's like £60 a week. And when people are really, really struggling, they're trying to prioritise their mental health over what? Like trying to eat?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a difficult one.
And even things like BetterHelp, there's the app that you can use. It's more cost effective, and it's kind of, but it's still a lot of money. And like you say, in a situation where things are very expensive, I would always advocate for prioritising yourself and your mental health, but not enough that you can't, like you say, eat or anything like that. And that's really tough. But I think you're right. I think a lot of the time, it's a safe space to talk that you need. You don't necessarily need. You might need a therapist. I'm not obviously asking anyone's questions, but you might just need that safe space to talk, to feel heard, because that's a whole different thing, feeling heard. And I think that's what a lot of people look for in therapy or doctors or these types of environments, where a sympathetic ear that's hearing you as opposed to just like, do you see what I mean? Being heard is very different to just you saying it and it's hitting someone's ear.
Or it's someone impartial. Like they don't want to talk to their partner or their family or anyone like that. They want someone who's, out of their living situation. But then again, I've had some of the guys that, you know, they come to the cave, but then they have done therapy or other things, and that's helped them. That's great. But yeah, it's definitely been, I've seen more than usual, a lot more financial burdens people have had, and then they'll drop the therapy, try and use the cave, but maybe that's not enough for them. So they are kind of stuck in one aspect as well.
Yeah. I think the impartial part is really interesting, because like so many times you kind of just talk to a stranger about something. Like, I can't imagine sort of things a taxi driver would hear. Do you know what I mean? You're on a night out, coming home. I can't imagine they've got all sorts of stories, because people just let themselves go. And I think that's such an important part of it, that I tell someone something, they're not gonna. That doesn't affect my life anymore. You know what I mean? If you tell your mum or your dad, they're going to worry about you. They're going to ask questions. They're going to make you kind of, they're now aware of how you feel, which is great. But sometimes it's not helpful, is it?
No, and I think that's one of the things I didn't do, is that, as I say, my parents are fantastic, but I didn't want to tell them because I knew they'd be worrying. Like, I remember once when I was signed off work for like a fortnight, every single day they were ringing me like, are you okay? What's going on? Have you done this? Have you done that? And then it's like, as much as I know they're trying the best, it's them worrying them. As much as they say, no, I'm just checking on you. You know they're worrying, and you don't want to put that burden on them. Yeah. And I touched upon that in the last podcast. You know, and I had my own brother say to me, "Why didn't you talk to me?" I was like, "It's not the same. It's definitely not the same." Yeah. So people, don't want to put that burden on others either.
And it's also I've been in a space where people say, "Why don't you talk to me?" I've got nothing to say. Do you know what I mean? It's not that I don't want to talk to you, or like I go through phases where I'm just completely numb, like absolutely zero feeling, not good, not bad, not nothing, just numb. But why don't you talk to me about it? Well, I don't feel anything. It's hard to talk to you and say how I feel when there's no feeling. I just feel like a kind of empty person that's going through their day as they need to. So it's hard to just say, just talk to me. If you're feeling that, just talk to me. It's love and it's care, and I appreciate it, but sometimes you can't.
And I think, as you were saying, if you felt like that and maybe you sat within the cave, for example, you might hear certain things and then trigger you to say, do you know what? Yes, I can relate. I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't necessarily do that just having a normal conversation.
Yeah.
I even had a few weeks ago, a colleague of mine came along. He said he was coming for someone else. So he went along, and then he actually spoke to me after. He's like, do you know what? Like, no, I needed that. Like, as you say, he didn't know. But then I think when he heard certain things, he then spoke, and he was like, yeah, I really did need that. So I think it's the space it's within as well. You might not feel you have to share. And I'll go some weeks and I'll go, I'm not going to share tonight. I've nothing to talk about. But then you'll hear things and you're like, no, actually, yeah, I am going to.
So there's just going through it again. So it's once a week. Where do you meet?
So we meet at the Wixham's Town Hall.
Okay.
At 7:30 on Thursday evenings.
Right. And that kind of goes for as long as an hour, or as long as kind of.
It's till 9.
Okay.
Yeah. So generally, we do the meeting, and then we cut it slightly short because we do a little bit of what we tend to do at the end to try and end it on a real positive is like what you're grateful for. Because we found we were doing the meetings and it might be a really negative meeting, or people are really struggling, but then it's like, right, what are you grateful for? And people at first struggled with that. But I think it then ends it on a positive. Like, do you know what? I am grateful for my job. I'm grateful for my family, all those. And then we run through announcements and stuff afterwards. What events are going on or anything else. And then generally, just have a bit of connection and stuff afterwards.
The what you're grateful one is a difficult one at the start, isn't it? Because you're like, well, no, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. But actually, there's a lot to be grateful for. And I think that question is a good, challenging question. I go through phases of journaling and stuff, and a lot of the time it's like, what are you grateful for, and kind of 3 things that are good in your life and stuff like that. And we don't spend enough time understanding what those are. I think, I don't know if the human brain is just to survive, isn't it? So it's all the threats, all the bad things, all the things that could hurt you. You don't sit there and think, actually, I'm thankful for my family or your dog, or the fact that I can go for a walk, or the fact that I can get up every morning and walk to get a cold shower. Do you know what I mean? There's lots of little things to be grateful for. And that's not to say that you should like beat yourself up because you've got, that's what I struggle with. I've got all this going on in my life and I still feel bad. That's the balance of me for saying I'm grateful for this stuff. That makes me feel worse because I shouldn't feel like this. But actually simplicity is, I'm grateful that I'm here, that I've got tomorrow, and I've got family, and I've got work that I enjoy, and having good conversations with people. That's a lot to be thankful for and grateful for.
But we don't focus on that.
No one does really.
So I think it's definitely been a different spin on it. I think we implemented that about 18 months ago. And even for me, if it's been a really negative meeting, sometimes I even feel the drain on it because you're taking on other people's emotions. But to end on that, some of the guys might say, do you know what? I'm grateful for the group. I'm grateful for being here. I'm grateful for sharing. So yeah, it leaves it on a nice positive.
Yeah, I think that's a good takeaway for me, to just really remember what I'm grateful for, because like we've said a few times, life, stress, money, cost of living, it can always be the main focus, but there's also often that you can look at the cloud, or you can look at the bit of sun that's just working really hard to break through, and that's often what the positive stuff is. Trying hard to break through, you just decide to look at the rainy clouds that's coming over. That's typical English view of the weather, though, isn't it? That's just what we're good at. I think for me, I think it's something that I could probably take a lot of value in doing. I think that I would encourage anybody that not necessarily has bad moments or feels that they've got poor mental health, just having a group of people to talk to about day-to-day stresses in life. There's me preaching it, and I haven't even been, but I think that it's a really good thing to do. I kind of do therapy, and it really helps me, but a different setting can only kind of enhance that, and there's no harm in trying things, is there?
Yeah, and I think it's a really good point you said. Again, another message I received a few weeks ago is saying about, but I don't have this, I don't have that. It's not about that. Even if it's just a space you come to make friends. Like, we're more than like, that's the whole point of us, If you come along just to make friends, or, do different things. As I say, all the events I've done through the Man Cave, never done before. Never done even something like paddleboarding, or, go for meals at certain places never been to before. It's little things like that, even if it's just the social aspect that people don't necessarily get.
I think there's a social aspect of life that we're missing now, with I still think there's a hangover from COVID, of people working from home, of people kind of not being as sociable as they used to.
No.
I think that's so important to we as humans, we're designed to talk and be around people.
Yeah, and I think I meant to touch on it earlier when you said about that. So I have hybrid working, so I do a couple of days at home, a couple of days in the office. I did go through a phase during COVID. I was working at home. My mental health was awful because it was just, as much as you'll talk to people online, it's not the same. And then I'd find now, like, I could never do 100% remote. That does work for some people, but I find going in the office, having those conversations with people is better. I couldn't be at home all the time. And I think you're right. Some people get so used to remote working or not talking as much, they don't necessarily look for those friendships anymore or connection.
I'm very much the same. I couldn't work from home. Really struggled with working from home. Well, I find it. I kind of got in a little rabbit hole in my head the other day. I was thinking, imagine if we keep going in this way that we're working, where parents work from home, they then have kids, and their kids work from home. The social aspect of being alive is just going to get so lost, and I think there needs to be a real drive to go out and meet people and talk and be sociable, because we're already losing some kids to Fortnite and Roblox or whatever, just looking at screens the whole time. If we're not really pushing social aspects of life, I think that it'd be a really sad day when we end up like just everyone just living at home. You can live at home, right? You've got Amazon, you've got all the deliveries, you've got TV, you can work, you've got absolutely zero reason to leave. So there needs to be a real, and things like that is a really good way and reason to get out, get sociable. It's good for you. It's good for people around you. And it'd be a really, really sad time if no one wants to be around people anymore. And I think we're not far off it. So go to the man cave. Well, thank you very much for coming in. There's a lot for me to think about there. I'm starting to feel like these podcasts is more of a therapy session for me than anything else. But hopefully it gets some more visibility for people, and keep doing what you're doing. I think it's a really, really good thing that you're doing, helping a lot of people, and just continue the good work.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.